And during the few moments that we have left, we want to have just an off-the-cuff chat between you and me.
I purposely say the government. That's who it is. FBI, CIA. They sneak around here in Harlem trying to frighten you into thinking that if you be a Muslim, you're going to catch hell. You already caught hell. You can't catch any more hell than you have caught.
I have a religion, and that religion doesn't allow me to be concerned about the affairs of my people, and I have no need for that religion. You know, he was talking to Sayyid Qutb, who was in Switzerland at that time, because he was saying to him that it seems as if you had the same rhetoric. But he was telling him that he was Muslim and his religion was Islam, but his commitment to the overall struggle and development of his people was there. And you know what I'm saying? This young brother reminds me of that type of individual who had that same commitment, you know? So that was a beautiful thing. That one time I had seen him speak, and I didn't know he was Muslim at that time. I said, this brother is speaking strong. And I said, we need some brothers like this in the Ummah. But little did I know, inshallah ta'ala, see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of guides. Like minds will always come together, inshallah ta'ala. Without further ado, Brother Shaka Shakur. Takbir! Takbir! Takbir!
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, just to reintroduce myself, like Brother Imam said, my name is Shaka Shakur. I'm the founder of United Muslim Alliance, also an ongoing member in we call it the Panther family now because there's so many generations of it. And, you know, just proud to be here and proud to do this work. I'm also one of the founders of the People's Survival Program, which is a program we've initiated throughout Harlem, and now it's coming to Queens within the next month, where we are feeding, providing clothing and medical attention, and creating independent schooling for our people. It's important that as Muslims we take the lead in this kind of struggle, because historically it is the Muslim in this country who has been in the forefront of this kind of struggle for years, decades, and it's time for us to take that role back and take that lead back. I don't know if you're familiar with the plight of the political prisoners. I'm going to get into that. But do you know that over 3/3 of the political prisoners are Muslim? These brothers who are languishing in these dungeons, they're Muslim. Some became Muslim after their incarceration, some went in Muslim. You know, so it's our role to fight against that which is wrong, you know, and uphold that which is right. So we'll talk a second. I'm always honored to be in the African Poetry Theater. I work in the National Black Theater in Harlem. But I'm honored to be here because I've been here so many times as a listener, and now, by the grace of Allah, I get to be here as a presenter. How many of us are familiar with the Cointelpro, or counterintelligence program, by show of hands? Okay, everyone's hand in this room should be up. The counterintelligence program, some of what you saw in the Know Your Rights, because we also do Know Your Rights workshops, are direct results of the counterintelligence program, which was started in the early, I want to say late 20s, early 30s, by this government, and initially by J. Edgar Hoover. How many heard of J. Edgar Hoover? Okay. Do you know that the counterintelligence program, the first person to be attacked by the counterintelligence program was Marcus Garvey and United Negro Improvement Association. They were the first to be attacked by it. But I'm going to read just a small part of it. Cointelpro, a counterintelligence program, was a covert FBI program whose purpose was to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, and otherwise neutralize the activities of black nationalist organizations and groups and their leaderships, spokesmen, memberships, and supporters. Now, as you'll see over history, it spread past that. It went into the Native Americans, it went into a lot of Latino movements, and now it has come full circle to the Muslim community. Some of the tactics that you'll see are the use of informants or snitches, opening personal mail, as you saw now, internet. How many of you have an internet account? Facebook, email, etc. Well, you got to watch your accounts because your accounts are open season now. Setups and frame-ups, like the setup we saw this weekend with the brother who was arrested right after we had the protest at Foley Square. The direct answer was to arrest a man, accuse him of a bomb, and say he's Muslim. This goes on all the time. We have to pay attention to it. False imprisonment. There was a sister, 13 years old. I think she was from Yemen. Her uncle and her father are both locked up right now. No one in the family except this 13-year-old girl speaks enough English to defend his family. Again, these are things they use. Secret examination of bank records, aka the RICO Act. The RICO Act is the Racketeering Conspiracy Act that was used in the 20s to bring down gangsters like Al Capone, who was first and hardest, and organized crime. But now they use this same tactic to bring down legitimate organizations. So they'll ask a question like, well, who do you give your money to? And you'll say, well, I donate to United Muslim Alliance because I like what they do. Okay, they'll keep that record, and then they'll come to my organization and they'll put a spy in my organization. That spy will take the funding or do something that's illegal, then they'll start out by freezing my account. So now United Muslim Alliance has no more money, and then they'll start outward to anybody who's ever donated to my organization. Now you're in trouble. Now you go down. And then you're going to wonder, well, why am I involved? I didn't know. So now you start with suspicion. I'm going to get to that. Now you ain't going to think that the police did this. You're going to think, well, I was at this meeting last week, and that guy in the third row, he looked real suspicious. It was him. So now we start attacking and targeting each other. And now the validity of our organization breaks down. We've seen it in so many organizations. Even, El-Hajj al-Shabazz was a victim of that. You will see it in the street organizations. Illegal wiretaps. I'm glad that phone rang right on time. Illegal wiretaps. When you are on your cell phones, any one of us, it is not illegal for the NYPD or any other law enforcement to listen. There's a certain amount of time that they can listen to. But that's why we have to be careful what we say when we're on the phone and what we don't say. A lot of us, we say a lot of things on the phone and the internet that we should not be talking about. We have to go back to the old-fashioned face-to-face communication. It can be something simple as we just organizing to have a breakfast feed. They can take those words and manipulate it. Our sister Asada Shakur, who's like an aunt to me, Asada Shakur, everybody read her book, Asada? Ashoyan? Gotta get that book, Asada. She talks about when she was in jail and she was going back and forth to court, they kept hitting her with charges for robbing banks that she couldn't have possibly been in. She's in jail. But they had pictures of her robbing these banks. What they did is they took a picture of her in the courtroom. She was being choked. And they took a picture of her with the eyes wide open, looking kind of erratic. And they photoshopped, notice I said the word, photoshopped that picture. And they put it all over the place. Now, everyone here on this computer here, I'm a graphic artist. Photoshop is a program that we have now. But Photoshop was designed for governmental use. So in the 50s, 40s, there were versions of Photoshop. And as we got further and further into the 60s and 70s, Photoshop was being used all the time. So when we saw somebody here in the bank, somebody there in the bank, and you wonder, this person's all over the place. Well, this is Cointelpro. Burglary of homes and offices. Ironically, we know about Cointelpro because some revolutionary comrades burglarized the government and got the papers of Cointelpro. But they'll do things. How many of you have been in your house and you leave something? Come back and say, I know I left that right there. Where is that? I can't remember. I know I left that paper right there. And then you find the paper somewhere else in your house. Has that ever happened to you? Has that ever? Don't put it past the fact that that paper was moved. Don't you go to a mosque, you're a faithful member of a masjid, you're a well-known or at least well-respected Muslim. Don't put it past the government coming in your house and rearranging things, not taking anything. Just rearranging. That's psychological warfare. So now you start, oh man, something must be wrong with me. I know. And if you live with somebody, did you move such and such? No, I didn't move. You're lying. And this is how they do it. This goes on. This is real, family. Burglarizing of offices. A lot of our masjids are unprotected. 24 hours. We don't have protection at the masjid 24 hours a day. Some have people that live in proximity, but some are just out there. So our offices, our places of organizing, they can be compromised. And most likely they are being compromised. It is a known fact now that within every 10 Muslims, 2 Muslims are plants. So every 10 Muslims that come into your masjid, 2 of them have been sent there. Now, not necessarily government training. It's not the same Mission Impossible. They're not taking you off the street and sending you to some camp and training you. They're catching you because you don't know the law. So let's say you're a young brother or sister, you don't really know the law, and you got caught up in some nonsense, and you really can get out of this with a good lawyer. They'll come in the room and say, you know what, Mr. Abdul, you know, Sister Hakeem, you facing 20 years for this. And I'll let you go if you can give us such and such and such. And you'll say, really? Not you, but the person will say, really? Yeah, you know, we're not asking you to be a snitch. But if you see something, say something. And you'll say, well, that don't sound bad. You know, I'm not doing nothing wrong. So then they'll send you in. Now you're going to look for anything suspicious. So they put a little more pressure on you. You're not giving us anything. Come on, I got this 20 years, you know. You can still go. You got to give us something. So now that pressure will have you to the point that you will start to fabricate things. You'll start to make up things because you want to get out of your situation. This is what knowing your rights and not knowing your rights can lead you into. Physical surveillance. Every one of us who is active, who is involved, you're being watched. And if you not have a behavior like you are, every masjid in New York City is being watched, not just during iftar, not just during Ramadan, not just on Friday. Every day is being watched. Who comes in here the most and prays? Who comes, I don't care if you come to sweep up in front of the masjid, you're a dedicated Muslim, you're a threat. Let's watch that guy, let's watch that sister. So you have to understand this. Now you say, well, I'm not doing nothing wrong, so let them watch you. You figure in a 3-year span, you are bound to do something, even if it's by accident, to give the government an excuse. No one in this room is beyond a mistake or beyond being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Enough to get tied up in it. I look at the situation in the airport, I get stopped every time I get on the plane. Every time. And I got to the point now I know I got to go to the plane 3 hours in advance so I can be stopped, be searched, and still make my flight. Most of our children, right now it's in the quote-unquote immigrant community, that the children in the schools are being pulled out the line in the school and taken into a back room and questioned. Your child is Pakistani or African from the continent. The school guard is now told, take that child with their hijab and pull them in the back. And they grill them with questions. And this will be soon amongst the African American community. It's coming our way. You know, that's the testing ground is here to see what the indigenous Muslim has to say about the attack on the immigrant community. That's why Foley Square was so important, because we have to show that we're one force. And that this is nothing new for us, but for some of our brothers and sisters, this is very new. Assassinations. Now, we witnessed the martyrdom of many, such as Brother Malcolm X, Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz. But assassination nowadays is not the same. The assassination now is the assassination of character. They assassinate the character of not just the Muslim community, but individuals. They're crazy. Those guys with the beards, watch out. You know, they're going to talk. So they say Allahu Akbar, that's a problem. So now people are watching and scared. If you get on a train now, the average person who maybe before 9/11 didn't look twice at a Muslim, now they're watching you. Now it's so bad we watch each other. That's how bad the fear has got. We scared of each other. I do security. You see me in a lot of events, and I do security a lot. And one of the things we have to tell people with security is like, don't be paranoid. Everybody's not out to get us. Because paranoia is the #1 agent or accomplice or friend of the Cointelpro program. So don't be that way. You know, if somebody comes to an event and they're just very quiet, that doesn't mean they're an agent. You know, if they look different, it's a different face. There are ways, and we teach ways in which you can engage these individuals to find out where they're from or what they're doing. Now, yes, you have provocateurs. In our masjid, they will send people in who will be disgruntled about the khutbah.